Hey, what's up, y'all, and welcome back to On Your Mental. This is the podcast that shares candid, open, and sometimes vulnerable conversations between and about men. And on this week, we have a returning guest, Brandon Beavis, and he's here to talk about role models with myself and Kabir. And we're also talking about what we think we put out into the world, being role models ourselves. So I hope you enjoy this week's episode. If you're not already, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. That way you know when new episodes are coming out. And I will see y'all in a moment when the episode starts. Peace. Welcome back, Brandon Beavis.
Thank you.
That's the way I'm going to start the episode. Welcome back, Brandon Beavis.
Yeah.
For everybody who's watching today, maybe you haven't seen Brandon's first episode. Brandon, you've been on the podcast before, and we were talking about, I think it was like success and things like that and the role of success in your life. Today, we're talking about something very different, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But for the people who are watching, if you want to kind of catch us up as well on what you've been up to with your investing academy and everything that's gone on. It's been a few months. What's happened in the last few months for you, man?
We don't need to talk about that. Well, we don't need any promo or anything.
But you're here, and I feel like it's important to talk about.
It's good. I've been working away in the background, kind of keeping quiet. And yeah, the summer's been a little bit slow. Like, I think summertime is actually slow for
investing?
Yeah.
Really?
It is.
Actually, yeah.
It actually is. Because think about it. There is seasonality in, like, I mean, people are busier during the summer. People are going out. They're going on trips. I mean, now not so much, but like, especially if you compare the new year, which that's like the best time for our business, because all the New Year's resolutions, everyone's like, okay, I'm going to invest
now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And especially with COVID this year, dude, everyone was home. Yeah. So it's been slower, but at the same time, it's just been a chance to kind of work on like our business behind the scenes. We're expanding our teams and getting everything kind of set up in the back end for this next upcoming year, which is hopefully going to be good.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've noticed you have taken on a lot more people working with you, right? I mean, even when we were last talking, it seemed like it really was yourself, and you had Darwin, I think it's still at that point, and Jesse obviously helping out, and I know that Viv does some work with you too. Yeah, so it's cool, man. You're expanding the team. I just saw like today you did some live thing. What's the whole live thing about? Yeah,
we do like, for the students, we do live presentations bi-weekly. So
have you settled on bi-weekly? Because I know you were asking in that, how often do you want to see
it? So far we got some pretty good feedback. Like literally today I filmed, we had a live session this morning, and the feedback was bi-weekly that they wanted. Cool. So yeah, it's just like a live session that complements the training, and the students love it. It's just a chance to engage with them, and yeah, we have a good time every couple weeks.
Cool. Yeah. Cool. Well, it's exciting to see your stuff continue to grow, and you're coming up with new things. You got your whole vlog too. I'll put a link to both your channels in the description for the episode. Not that everybody's, I mean, you get a promo from me. Wow. Huge. Thanks, man. But yeah, dude, it's just cool to see that you're still doing these things. Now, the thing that we're going to talk about today is, I guess, our own roles and role models that we've had in our lives as men. Men often are seen as people who just go do their own thing, and we figure stuff out, we tough it out, like that's how you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be a man, right? But at the same time, we learn from other people, and a lot of the time we learn from other men, right? And so the first question that I'll ask is just what we see ourselves as in our lives as roles to other people. What roles do we play to the people in our lives? Whether that's directly, indirectly, or more disconnected. Because I'm imagining for yourself, for example, you do play a role to your students in your academy, right? I'm imagining for myself, I play a role to my family, I play a role to my friends, but there are maybe more outward reaching roles that you might not think of on a day-to-day. So the first question is just, what do you think are some of the roles that you play for people in your life?
Take it away.
First thing that comes to mind for me is I think about like our friends, and then you guys. Well, I don't want to like boast, but you guys tell me I'm like the most like level-headed out of like our friends. So like I feel like I'm always happy to be there for like emotional support for our friends. But I feel like that might be my biggest role right now that I can think of. I'm always like happy to support, even when like out of breakups. A lot of our friends are out of break, I'm there to help out.
Yeah, no, to add on to that, because when I was thinking of my roles, and I was thinking of my role as a friend as well, I was thinking of my role models, and we'll get to that too, people who we see as role models in our life, but you are someone who I see as a role model, as a good friend, because you are that person who you're able to reach out to. Yeah, I mean, even just the other day, I reached out to you about, like, I was feeling shitty about something, right? And I was like, oh, I want to talk to Cabs, right? He was the first person I thought of. I want to get something off my chest. I want to talk to Cabs. So yeah, absolutely. You can be a friend. That's an important role to play for people. A good friend too. How about yourself, man?
I think you kind of said it there with the students. Obviously, like from the business side of things, I got now like a decent sized audience, like, in the Canadian space. And there are a lot of people that do look up to me and kind of follow the advice that we give. And it is, I guess, in a sense, a role model for many people out there. Like in the niche that we work in, beginner investors, a lot of people just kind of follow in the footsteps, and they kind of,
because you're not intentionally trying to be a role model, but that's what's
it just happened to be. It just
exactly.
It just happened to be. And with the presence that, now I kind of find myself in, it's, that's just kind of how it is, I guess, from the business side of things.
Yeah.
I think aside from that, you mentioned family. A big role model that I feel I'm in a position right now is obviously Jesse, my brother. So, and this is something that more or less developed as I got older. So, growing up, there's like less, I guess they're just too busy with our own things.
Yeah, you might not be aware of it.
Yeah, I think it's just like the mindset isn't there and the realization of how important it is. But on the family side, like there's Jesse, who I like to think I'm, being a good role model for him now. And then, Viv, a new fiance here.
Right.
So that's obviously another role that I play.
Yeah.
I got pets, got to be the pet owners. Like they need a little bit of help here and there. So yeah, family side, there's definitely that. I would say mainly the brother, not so much like being a son, because my parents are now old enough to do their own, not that they're obviously old enough, but they're out doing their own things. Right. Yeah. Growing up, maybe you're like more of you play that role as a child for them. But now that we're at this age, it's like, we're more or less independent. It's more or less just like the people that you have around you close to you.
There's this thing that I had read like a little while ago, and it's like you look up to your parents all the time growing up, right? That's obviously someone who you see as a role model for various things because you're learning from them. But there comes a point where you might be teaching your parents something, and it's like once you hit that moment or moments like that, you start to maybe see yourself almost as an equal, or start to see yourself less as just the child, right? That's something that I felt with my uncle. My uncle's like, he's really good with his hands. He does his own contracting work. And then he started coming to me with like technical questions about technology, things related to technology. And it's like, I can answer those things for him now. And it's not anymore this one-way relationship. The relationship changed, and someone who I did see as a role model for certain things, it's now like there's balance, right? Or you're on the same level, you're peers in a way. I wanted to follow up on you talking about unintentionally, as Kabir said, becoming a role model. Do you feel like there's any pressure in that?
I'd say no, because at the end of the day, I mean, I'm doing my thing here. And for those that do want to follow along and do want to look up to what I have to say, then, that's awesome. But, you hear of people that when they get into these like, bigger positions and there's all the eyes on them and whatnot, they feel the pressure. But personally, no, not really. I don't know if that's strange or not, but I'm just doing my thing.
Yeah, I guess it's just the approach that you're taking to it, right? It's like you're not thinking of yourself as a role model, as Kabir said, right? You just are doing something that people are looking up to and they're following in your footsteps, as you said.
At the same time, though, you mentioned like, we have our vlog, and it's kind of funny. We see the difference. There's a slight difference between me and Jesse's like maturity level.
Sure.
We're like, we're close in age, but he's actually taken that entire project of doing the vlogs and the editing and whatnot, and just like the types of humor that he finds sometimes isn't kind of the humor that I'm jiving with. And, I think now that I'm jiving, and before, it's like, you don't really think about these things.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think about, my image out there and whatnot, but I guess with time that has grown on me because I'm, I'll tell him like, hey, we probably shouldn't put that in the vlog. That's not a good look. Like, that's not that funny. That's, maybe funny to some people, but there's also a lot of other people, and that could look, bad on us, or that could like be perceived as, negative. So in a sense, maybe, I do kind of see myself as that role model, and like I'm kind of trying to hold myself up to that standard, but not like, it definitely isn't putting any stress on me, or
right.
It'd be a different story. I know some people, if they get like millions of views, like let's say you're like an influencer with, you just blow up, and then you got this pressure of like, well, I gotta get more content, and I gotta be, give the people more, and the whole like, Logan Paul stuff. That type of deal.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Because then you're so much more in the, I guess, like, you got an eye on you, you know what I mean? And people are looking at you to represent something that they think. I think that's another thing though too, is with role models. We talked about it with Alex's episode, right? Where it was like, when you hold idols in other people, there's a risk to that because those people can falter. Yeah. And so when you hold a role model with someone else, and if they start to do something that is out of line with why you're holding them as a role model, that can maybe set you up for disappointment too, right? So someone who might be watching you and really enjoying your content for, let's say, the investment stuff, that's a good thing, because I don't think there's any place to falter there. You're just giving advice and you're teaching people how to invest. Someone who's watching your vlog channel, for example, who's come over from that, if they have a certain perception of you as this business guy who's all serious and he's talking about stocks and all this stuff, and now they see a different side of you, if they didn't like agree with that, if it was a level of humor that even wasn't something that you represented or you wanted representing you, that then opens that up to faulting, I guess, in a way. That's fair. Yeah. For myself, I'm thinking about different roles that I play, and it's friend, it's family, it's at work. I've been at my workplace for 6 years. So at this point, I'm like a mentor to other people. If they have questions, they'll come to me. And I think about the people who I've looked up to be that role for those people, right? I mentioned for yourself, or for me, with you are someone who I look up to as a good friend because you're emotionally available to other people and you're willing to listen to other people. For my work and being a mentor, I've had other people who were mentors to me, right? And they were people who were in a similar position where I'm in now. It's kind of like, now you can look back once you reach a certain point, and when you acknowledge the thing that you are a mentor for, right? I can look back and say, okay, these people were also there for like 5-6 years, and I was looking up to them, and now I'm just in their shoes and I'm doing the same thing for other people. I think about coaches. I mean, you both played basketball. I'm sure that there's like a standout coach or something like that. Yeah, you know what I mean?
One coach the whole life.
Who was the one coach? Bernard?
Yeah, it was Bernard the whole time.
Did you look up to Bernard at all?
Oh, hell no.
Honestly, I was gonna say I think I look up to him more now, looking back at it, than I did before. Before I was just like, oh, this is the dude that's making us run lines, right?
Yeah.
I'm just fucking dead. We're dead tired at the end of every practice. We're like ready to get out of there. But looking back at it now, he would have been a role model if I had appreciated what he was doing at the time.
Yeah.
Because he was a coach for us for like how long?
Years.
Yeah.
Years and years.
Maybe like
our whole upbringing, pretty much.
Yeah, like 7-8 years.
Yeah.
How old was he at the time when he was coaching?
He was young. So when we were like probably 13, 14 years old, he started coaching us, and he would have been in his early 20s.
Really?
So he probably has a lot of other things to do.
Yeah.
Going on. He's taking the time to teach us. Yeah, like
exactly.
you said,
he's not getting paid either.
Yeah. You don't grasp that when you're in the moment. But like you said, now as we get older, we start to realize like, damn, that was a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting with coaches, is you don't really appreciate that because they are the person making you run lines. Like, I was thinking back, I had a coach when I played soccer. His name was Yoshi. He was my favorite coach because he was super compassionate. He didn't like grind you. He did motivate you, but it wasn't like he was just there beating you down, trying to get you to just run lines and just repeat that again and again. He was genuinely caring about what you're doing, but so would have Bernard been, right? Like, obviously he's watching you both develop as young men too, and young basketball players. To follow up with what we're talking about, so like, we have our own roles to play. For yourself, I'll ask you like more of a direct question here. You're now a fiance. Congratulations.
Thanks.
By the way.
Thank you.
Do you like, what do you think about going into that space of marriage now? That's a huge chapter, and that's another huge role for you.
It is, and it isn't. Like, obviously it is a huge title and it's a huge change, but in our case, like, I've been with Viv since forever. So what is it, 7-8 years now? Yeah. So for us, like, the actual,
it's just the title.
It's just the title of it. Our lives haven't really changed in any major way. We're still doing our thing as a relationship, as a couple. So yeah, it's a little more official, but it's not as big as everyone says it is. When they're like, wow, congrats. It's like, it's nice and it's awesome. And we're super proud about it because it made sense. It's like the next step. But from a relationship standpoint, like, what changes that I'm doing to that? Like, I still have to be there in every way that I was, even though we weren't engaged.
Sure.
So not much of a change from that aspect.
Is there any part of marriage that like scares you at all?
the wedding, like
Yeah.
like if we had to like walk down the aisle and stuff and be all dressed up, like that part kind of sucks. But we're both chill in that sense too, right? Like she's extremely down to earth, and it's, you know, it's not in her goals really to have a huge wedding either. Like some girls, that's the hugest thing for them. We need to spend 50 grand on a wedding and get the venue. It's like we could literally just go elope somewhere, and
Right.
and that's like right up my alley. So yeah, we could just sign the papers and call it a day. But yeah, that would really be the only major thing that scares me.
Is there anybody in your life that has like recently gotten married that you've asked any questions to or anything like that? Because
Really.
Diljar got married,
Diljar
right?
did,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
no, I haven't talked to him about that. Anybody else that I can think of?
I can think that's the only person I know that's married. That's like
Diljar
young.
was gonna be one of the last people.
Catch you by surprise. You're gonna be the last. You're never getting married. Never.
Nice.
He'll show up at all the weddings. Oh man.
But yeah, no, nothing.
Yeah.
To finish, you know, your question there, I haven't spoken to anybody about it, other than maybe family, like what their family wants, what my family wants. But no one who's actually been through it recently and kind of getting like experiences and whatnot.
Sure. I mean, it's one thing, I guess, to look back at role models, and then another thing to look forward at role models. That's kind of tricky, because unless you're actively seeking something out, right? Like you say that you haven't asked somebody about marriage, you haven't asked somebody about being a husband, then there's no reason to look at that. It's almost like if we were to look at someone who's a good father, why would we do that when we're not having kids? You know what I mean? What does that role model then mean to you, if anything? Who are maybe role models that you have right now, if y'all have any?
I mean, I definitely, you know, I think everybody does have role models, you know, whether you know it or not. That's the tricky part about it, right? Whether you know it or not, you do look up to all sorts of people, whether that's in your daily life or whether it's like someone of like a celebrity status. I don't know. I don't think I don't look up to any celebrities. Like
I was
in fact,
battling with that too, though. When I was thinking about this question, I was like, does a celebrity count?
I mean,
as a role model, I feel like it does. I feel like it does.
I think it's a bad role model.
Yeah,
it shouldn't.
Maybe
but
shouldn't.
But a lot of people would.
But what if why is it bad though?
I guess maybe, yeah, it depends. I mean, I'm thinking of like kind of like the Kylie Jenners and those people.
Sure.
But maybe, I mean, I'm thinking in your case, what you're probably going to say is like maybe some sort of, you know, rappers.
I was thinking of a
right?
musician.
And
Yeah,
maybe maybe if you're looking up to them for the right reasons, then that can be a really good role model. I just think that people in like the big time limelight, it's not necessarily the people you typically want to look up to, but I could be wrong.
I was thinking of Frank Ocean with the poster there, but I was thinking of Frank Ocean because of his role to his mom. His brother passed away last year, I think, in a car accident, and then he's always been someone who like elevates his mom and definitely like shows appreciation to what his mom has done or done for him to put him in the position that he's in. And so I look up to him in that sense, even though I don't know the guy, right, at all. Like I listen to his music. Me being an only child and having just my mom, that's something that like I draw a relation to, you know. And so I look up to how he's been able to, I guess, give back to his mom since finding his own success. That's something that's like, I would love to be able to do that with my mom too, right? I'd love to be able to give back when I get to a point where I can give back, you know. So that's a celebrity that I look up to. So I don't think it's wrong. I don't think it's a bad
It's
thing.
not wrong in that sense at all. And I guess that's the difference between you and like a lot of people is like you're looking at certain sides of a celebrity that maybe a lot of people look towards a lot of people may look towards the fame, and they may look towards the money, and they may look towards like the status and the clout, which is what people get drawn into and like, oh, I want that. You know, that's who I want to be. And they model, you know, their lives off of that. But as you said, you're picking like a very, very good part of someone's life.
A more realistic part.
It's a more realistic part. It's more down to earth, right? Which is, I mean, good on you.
Sure.
Yeah, he's not always like in this. The Frank Ocean's not always in the spotlight too, right?
He's someone who's a little bit more like low key about things.
Did you find out about his like brother and like his mom like after you started listening to him?
No. I've listened to Frank Ocean for a long time, and his brother passing away just happened this past year. And so I got magazine there and everything. I got way too much Frank Ocean shit here. But I've noticed for a long time that he is really into, I don't know, just supporting his mom. His mom started a business. She has a cosmetics business for, it's called Unsun, I think. and it's like sunscreen for people of color. It's a cool business idea, but he's like, he would promote that too for us sometimes. And yeah, he gave her a platform in a way, you know, to find her own success and everything. And since his brother had passed away, it looks like he's been like supporting her and everything too, right? Yeah, I don't know. Like he just seems like a good guy. Right? So I guess that's what draws me to him too, is he's just a good guy.
You probably appreciate it even more because you love his music too, right?
But yeah, because that's what first brought me to him.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't I didn't look at him as a good son and then I was like, oh, this guy makes cool music. Oh, this guy makes cool music. Oh, this guy's a nice dude.
Yeah.
Right? And I guess that's something that would be similar to what you do, man. And I guess realistically, I have a smaller audience, but I'm growing an audience here too. So I'm mindful of what we're putting out there as well. When we're hosting episodes and when we're here every week and we're talking about stuff, there's an audience that's getting to know us and the things that we represent and believe in. Same thing goes for you as well, right? People are going to find you for your investing stuff, and then they might stick around because they like you.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, that's a total real thing.
And yeah, on that topic, when I was in your store, a bunch of employees were like, yo, like they're all about your stuff, man. Yeah. And like, you probably know that because they talk to you, but like they're looking at you. And then like you said, like, you know, they see you as this image saying, Reuben's doing cool things. They literally even mentioned Cavs, like, oh, Kabir's on there too. Yeah. And it's like, you know, they're you know, you are kind of fitting a role now, and people are looking up to it. So absolutely.
Right. You don't even know sometimes that you're stepping into a role, I guess. But I mean, the amount that you talk about the guy, Dr. Disrespect, you're wearing his hoodie. Yeah, that's what, you know what I'm saying? It's like he's got to be a role model in a way, you know? And I don't know, it's you don't think about it. You don't think of this person as a role model.
When I think of like Doc, I think of like more so just like the positivity that he brings more than anything to like the streaming and like how entertaining it is. Like it's something I could watch even if I'm like sad at home or something, but it just brings up my mood watching it. So
yeah, I find this stuff very like relaxing in a way, even though he as a character is not relaxing at all. But I find it comforting to go to like watch his stream or something like that, right? When he's playing or watch his videos. Like,
let's think of more role models. More role models.
More role models.
I want to hear more. Yeah, I got one. Obviously. Yeah. Obviously, I can say my dad.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that's the most cliche one.
Oh, damn it! I was gonna say your dad.
My dad.
I don't got one of those.
Yeah. Well, maybe me and Cavs can handle this part of it. But yeah, that's like that's an obvious one.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
If you're looking for role models in your life, because you don't really have a choice when you're brought into this world. I mean, they're who you're gonna learn from, in most cases. And I mean, my dad in particular, you guys both know quite well. Like, I mean, he's an amazing role model in many, many areas of life. I'd almost say he's like a crazy good role model. Yeah. Right. Like kind of hard. It's hard to almost fill his shoes knowing my dad. Yeah. Like when it comes to his like, you know, integrity and he's like really, really like good in many ways. Right. So, I've obviously learned a lot from him, both like not by choice and by choice, you know, but that's a pretty clear option to me is father figures.
Yeah. No, I'd say the same. Yeah. When I think of my dad, it's almost intimidating to think of like the amount of stuff he does every day. Or like just the like past or 2 days ago, I came downstairs. I was like up super late, and I came downstairs, and my dad, it was like, I don't know, it was like 10
hours. Yeah.
And he was just like, as soon as I got downstairs, he was just like throwing a bunch of like investment kind of questions at me, and like and I would just like not having it. Like I was just trying to like have my breakfast and keep right? And I was like, oh yeah, I'll check later. But like the point I'm trying to make is he's like always on the go. Like he's doing so many different things every day. It's almost, I do think him as a role model. It is intimidating because I don't know if I can live up to.
It's hard to fill those shoes.
Yeah,
dude, for sure.
I don't ever see myself filling the type of shoes that he wears.
I'm in the same boat there, right?
But I think it's important to try.
Sure.
To try, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely you want to try, and you should try. But I don't know if this is the same for you, Cavs, but like I was saying, because those shoes are so intimidating to fill, it's like sometimes I'm not trying to be like, you know, a mirror image of him because I know I wouldn't be able to.
I'm gonna ask something, and it's like, I wonder if if we had like both your fathers here, what they would say about even the idea of you trying to follow so closely in their footsteps. You know what I mean? I would be curious just to hear their perspective on it too, because I agree with you. Without having a dad, I don't know what it's like. I won't really know what it's like, but I can only imagine. And to me, it's like if I had a son, I wouldn't want my son to be exactly like me. I would want them to take away aspects. I would want them to take away things. And you've both identified qualities in your fathers that you like and that you look up to, that you think are good role model qualities to look at, right? Like, I mean, you've both said that it's big shoes to fill. Why are they big shoes to fill? What part is it that you don't think you're going to reach?
I think for my dad, it's the work ethic mainly. Cause he always tells us stories about like, when he used to study in England and just the way he was growing up and how his dad brought them up. His dad was very strict on them.
Very strict, right?
But yeah, it's mainly his work ethic that like, because there's never a time where like it's whenever he's like chilling at home or relaxing, or it's always planned, right? I don't know. Yeah, just the
work ethic.
The work ethic is the main
that's
thing.
a good one. He's like providing for everything, and like it's
basically provided for me and my brothers our whole life.
Yeah, and that's like he's got his own like business to run and the real estate and everything, right? It's like it's a big workload.
How about for yourself then? Like thinking of just the things that you don't feel like you could fill. Like what is it about your father's that is so extreme?
I think my dad is very extremely like authentic. He's authentically a good person.
Yeah.
Right?
Whenever I've talked to him, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it's like it's not even just when you talk to him and whatnot, but like from knowing what his intentions are and whatnot, he's just such a good person. It's crazy, and it's not that I say, "Oh, I'm not a good person," or I'm a bad person or anything like that. But it's a level that I couldn't see myself getting to in terms of just how do I say it? It's like.
Is it to me, what I'm hearing is that he kind of exudes this level of selflessness.
Selflessness is a great word.
Caring for a lot of other people.
Yep.
That's kind of what I pick up off of him.
Yeah. No, that is a really good word. Very, very caring about other people. Yeah, you kind of said it there, but yeah, I guess so.
I mean, even when you look at like what he's doing right now, is it's like he's left his retirement to come and help you with what you're doing.
And that's a great example of it. Like
that's just insane.
It's just so like, caring for others, you know, it's
like, it comes naturally for him.
It comes very naturally for him. It's like, sometimes I even wonder, is it real? How authentic it is, and how much, like, the extent that he goes to that. And, you know, he hasn't proved me wrong since. So, so far it's just, that's just possibly who he is.
Yeah. It's just genuinely that he just cares.
Yeah.
And he wants to help. That's cool. And it's a good thing to look up to, right? I mean, this is the thing, is like, as big of a shoe it is to fill, it's a great shoe to try and fit in, man.
Right,
like, it's important that you're trying to get there.
And I think one thing too is like, whether you're trying to fill those shoes on purpose or not, that stuff rubs off on you anyways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
When you see your dad working that hard and, you know, putting food on the table, like keeping the shelter, blah, 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 like you pick up on that.
Yeah.
And the same way, like I pick up on how nice my dad is to everybody, and that side of things. So it does rub off on you, and it becomes kind of part of who you are. Again, maybe not to the full extent, but for sure.
Because I think it's interesting that you both see your fathers as such great role models to you, and you pick up on the work ethic, you pick up on his level of, I guess, like empathy and selflessness, right? Those two things, as big of a shoe as you think it might be, you are subconsciously aware of it, and you know that it is a big shoe to fill, and you're trying to at least adopt some of those habits, right? Some of what you're saying. I know, like, Kabir, not to put you on the spot here, but you've said on previous episodes that you, like, that's a concern of yours, is you feel like you are, like, I don't know what the word is that you've used before, where it's like you're not doing
enough
things. I'm not.
Lazy.
You've used the word lazy before, but
I've described myself as lazy multiple times, and it almost just, because I'm the only people I have to compare those to are like my dad mainly and my brothers at home. I'm just always kind of always in the back of the head, just thinking I need to be doing something, like have a side thing going on to make money, or like I need to be learning something on the side rather than just working and then working out and then coming home and relaxing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's almost like I'm almost worried every day that I need to be like doing something else.
But it's like that's your point of reference,
right?
And it feels like you put a lot of pressure on yourself in a way from that too, right? This role model that you have, it's such a great role model, and you can see them as such a great role model. It's like there's a lot of pressure there to meet an expectation that maybe isn't an expectation of theirs. It's just your own.
There is no one's really setting that expectation.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing though, because the fact that
puts a little fire under your ass.
It puts a little fire under your ass, but it's a good thing because it's not like he's teaching you the wrong things. You know, it's not like he's being a role model in a bad way.
Right.
Right. It's like, if anything, if you feel that pressure, he's maybe doing his job because that's making you feel like, hey, I got to start doing things. I got to, you know.
Yeah. No, that's true.
So it could be seen as, you know,
it's
good pressure, you know.
Just the rubbing off effect you were talking about
earlier too. Like passive role models too. Right? Role models where, I mean, obviously it's a direct relationship between you and your father, but there are things that rub off, as you say, about a person the more time you look at them and spend around them. And considering this is someone you spend a large portion of your life with and around, there's a lot that you're going to pick up from them, right? I think for myself, because today we've been thinking about like male role models in particular. Men need role models. Men need role models to be better men. Like that's just a reality of life. Everybody needs a role model to be a better version of themselves. And so that, I guess, opens up a question that I have, which is like, when do you feel the need to look for a role model?
I think that's pretty easy. That's like when you want something that maybe you don't have, you know, you're trying to maybe learn a new skill or, you know, better yourself in a specific way. You look to someone that's already done that or already been there, right? Whether you do it on purpose or whether you're just like subconsciously kind of seeing what other people are doing. Yeah. You know, if you're trying to be, I mean, I can think for myself. I'll give you a little personal story. That's probably the easiest way to say it. When I was learning, when I was just getting into YouTube, like when I first started, and even in fact, before I started, I looked at some of the other YouTubers that were in the finance space and that were doing it. And it was still a small community at the time, but there were a few people. And like, funny enough, I actually just like pretended that I like knew these guys, and I just tried to like keep them in my circle, even though I never met them. I never will. They're like, you know, in the US and whatnot. Yeah. But I remember looking up at some of the big names there and just kind of, you know, seeing what they do, you know, kind of seeing their, you know, I guess, just kind of trying to mimic them in a sense. So that's definitely one little area that, you know, for me has now been huge. Yeah. Maybe now I'm in that position for other people. But for YouTube or for finance, whatever it was, you look at someone who's already doing it is what I'm trying to get at. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. When you're stepping into an unknown for the first time, that's when you're going to look for a role model.
That's when
most
you need,
likely.
You need
right?
one.
You need one at that point.
Yeah.
Especially if it's something that you care about. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you're kind of like thrusted into an unknown that you don't give a shit about, but now you just have to do it. You know what I mean?
True.
Like if you had to go and get a new job, let's say like your work closed or whatever, you had to go and get a new job. It might not be the job that you want, but you got to learn how to do it. You might not look for a role model. You might just learn how to do the job. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's a good one. Yeah.
But when you're passionate about something or you're curious about something, I think that's when you start looking for role models.
That's true. That's a good one.
Using your same example of YouTube and podcasting, in my case, I've been looking at Brandon Marshall, who's the guy who I guess like runs or I guess directs in a way the I Am Athlete podcast, which I talked about, and I showed you an episode with that because I just love how their podcast looks. I love how it sounds, and I love the way that they carry themselves in their content. So I look to that as a role model for how to improve this show. When I look at how I've done YouTube stuff, I even asked you a question just this week. And I've been doing something wrong this whole time. I've been exporting my videos with a certain like proxy that's not the right proxy to use. It's way faster and smaller and more condensed file sizes if I did this other one, which you said, I use that all the time. And in my head, I'm like, why the fuck haven't I been doing this? Yeah.
But you learn from people. You learn from
people who've done it.
Exactly.
Right. So when I hit a point where I was like, this is ridiculous. This is taking too much time. Why is this taking too much time? I reached out to you. Right. So I looked to you as a role model for YouTube stuff. I've obviously looked to Jess as a role model for YouTube stuff. And I've talked about that in previous episodes. Right. So it's like when you hit an unknown, that's when I look for a role model. Right. But I wonder if there's a point where if you've been doing the same thing for enough time, do you still look for role models? Would you still? Like, are you still watching those investment YouTubers?
Good question. At this point, no.
Interesting.
At this point, no.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I guess maybe the role model helps get you to a certain point.
Yeah.
And then, you know, once you've achieved that goal or whatnot, maybe it kind of sounds bad because there's always room to improve and you're always got room to grow. But maybe when you get to that objective, whatever it is that you're trying to learn from somebody or trying to absorb from what they do, I think it kind of just fizzles away. They need to like
take the training wheels off.
Exactly.
Put the wings on.
Exactly. There you go.
Straight to the moon.
There you go.
Man. Yeah, that's interesting actually that you don't look at that anymore.
I look at other areas. It's just not it's just not that anymore, right?
Because now you're comfortable with how you're doing it. Right. And there's nothing wrong with comfort either. Comfort is not a bad thing. I think sometimes especially on like social media motivational pages, all that shit, like don't get comfortable, fuck off. Like get comfortable, look for the next thing. You know what I mean? That's okay. It's okay to be comfortable for a while. But what I'm wondering is with, I guess, that sense of comfort, what are you looking to now then? Like, what are the other things that you're looking at for learning?
Myself, it's more or less just for personal interest things.
Yeah, that's sure, man.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, it's really unrelated, but like one of the things I just do like every day pretty much is watch like fishing videos and watch outdoor stuff. I don't know. It's just like a very big interest of mine. And it was pretty crazy. Like I caught when I caught the salmon, I went fishing with Nate like a week ago.
Yeah.
I caught the salmon, went home and filleted it up like perfectly myself, you know, like, and I've watched like, I want to say 1,000 videos of people filleting fish and just catching them and cooking them up and stuff. And it's just, again, it's just a small area that happens to be what I'm kind of interested in at the moment. But like there are certain, it's all online actually, which is the kind of cool thing that online does for you these days. You can learn pretty much whatever you want.
Was it hard to fillet the salmon?
It was hard. But it's not as easy as it looks, as they make it look. But I mean, it still turned out pretty good, I'd say. But yeah, that's just, you know, one area. I think another area which, if I can keep going on,
please.
one of the crazy things, like on the business side of things, that I did, and this goes back maybe like over a year now, I like invested in this training program, which was pretty costly for me at the time. It was like $5,800 USD, which may sound like a lot of money, but really now it is a lot of money, especially at the time when I didn't have I literally was like depleting my bank account to become part of this program. Now the crazy thing is, this next program I'm considering joining, $36K per year.
Jesus.
USD too.
What's the program for?
It's like a mastermind group. So you surround yourself with it. And that's what I was getting at it. I mean, that's the next tier. But that group that I joined, and essentially that mentorship program, like coaching program really is what it was. It surrounds you with people who, again, were where I wanted to be at the time, which was, you know, making money online and growing a business. And I mean, I kid you not, that was like probably the best investment I've made of my life, to kind of get surrounded by those people, and even just to be like peripherally involved or in touch with some of these people and to kind of see what they're doing and to kind of see what's possible. That alone can drive the motivation, you know, not only like the step-by-step stuff to do and like the instructions and whatnot, but just like being in a network of people like that who are on the money side doing very, very well, that opens up doors for you. Right. So that's just another example that kind of comes to my mind, which was an obvious one.
I think that you have identified a thing, and I kind of mentioned it like back at the start, where it's the same dynamic that you hit with parents, where you get to a point where your parent is no longer a role model. The people who you looked at as role models were no longer role models because you reached that same level, right? When you were looking at YouTube people, you reached a level of comfort where you didn't have to look at them anymore for inspiration and how to do things, right? But now you've identified other things that you want to push towards on the business side or fishing or whatever it might be, right? Like you're looking for other role models for new things. So I guess, I mean, the obvious thing is when you need to do something new, you look out for a role model.
I think that's the takeaway.
Right? Yeah.
Cabs hasn't really said much on this topic.
You watch a lot of Lego building videos too?
No, that's self-taught, baby.
Trial and error for that. It comes with the instruction book. It's upside down. Oh man. When's the last time that you think maybe you've done something new? Because I'm thinking of, for example, recovery, right? There has to have been people that you've looked at for recovery and role models in a way.
What
I don't know.
recovery you're talking about?
Oh, just
physical.
Like injuries?
Yeah.
Okay. So is this guy an alcoholic all of a sudden?
He keeps bringing drinks.
So cut that out. No, I don't know if I was like looking up to because it was just like I was just trying to figure out like solutions myself. I would go to the chiropractor a lot, and that seemed like it was helping, but it really wasn't.
And scam, man. They just want you to come back at it.
Maybe, I don't know if it's a scam, but like I would say after going to physio is just like way better. But I don't know if there was any role models along the way there. It was just like me relying on myself and then focusing on like doing the same exercises every day and repeating that to make myself feel better.
What about the trading you're talking about? Like, that's a good one.
Yeah, I guess so. So yeah, I talked about that before where I was quarantined last year and I wanted to like make some money because I was just collecting CERB too. Yeah, and I started watching your videos.
Okay, well I wasn't setting you up for that, man.
But I started watching Brandon's videos.
Yeah.
And then I was learning about stocks. And I just started experimenting myself after.
Tell me more.
And then slowly like started getting into crypto stuff. But whenever I need to learn about new crypto stuff, I'll go to my brothers because my brother researches this stuff a lot.
So your brothers are role models too.
Yeah, my brothers are definitely.
Yeah, and you've talked about them before. I think this is like when we were talking about having this conversation today, it was like you were saying that you don't have role models. You can't think of role models. And that's not true, man. Like I guess, I think you're just downplaying your role models. It's cool to have role models that are family like that. That's huge, right? Especially speaking from my own experience, I don't have brothers. I don't have a father. I don't have the same role models that you get, right? And so I think it's really cool to have those role models. I think that is something that's special.
I mean, not to like change topics, but like, would you not consider? Let's assume you saw someone like at the gym, right?
Sure.
And you're like, oh, this guy's like in really good physique, or this guy's like working really hard. Like, I can see this guy grinding. Would you consider them like a peripheral role model? Like you in some way look up to aspects of that? Or are you just like, nah.
This guy's the biggest guy in the gym, so that's tough.
True. That's true.
I mean,
that's just an example.
Maybe today I was.
That's an example.
Yeah, no, I got you. I would agree. Yeah. They're like a peripheral, like a background role model that like not actively thinking about it, but like I'm maybe comparing myself to them. So like maybe or their work ethic in the gym might make me work harder if I'm like working up with the bench beside them or something.
Which I feel like that's kind of what I mean, whether it's like an indirect role model or a direct or indirect,
right.
That's you're still being influenced by that person for a reason, right?
Yeah, I guess when I'm thinking of role models, I'm thinking of like someone you're actively thinking about. Like they
trying to.
Yeah, they're like, yo, that person is my role model. Like you've set that in your head already.
Yeah.
But I guess that's not always the case.
Yeah, sometimes they're just there. Sometimes they're just around, right?
Yeah.
Like that's one of the things like, yeah, maybe you don't have as many direct role models where you're like actively trying to, mimic, but there's that like saying like what it's like your 5 best friends or your 5 closest friends are like how you're going to turn out or something like that. You know that one, right? Yeah. The 5 people you hang around with most is how like you end up being.
Because you're just rubbing off on
it's very, very true because like, the circles you hang out with and the types of what they're doing, the things they like that does rub off on you. And to me, that's, again, a very clear example of role models, right? Whether they're trying to be or not.
Yeah. Like
could be for the good or the bad.
Yeah. Using that as an example. Like I think of Seb, I mean, you haven't seen most of the guys in a little while, right? But Seb's now, the GM at
the Dime.
Yeah. Now he's the GM at the Dime. And it's like, he took that on without having much management experience. He had just been bar manager before, right? And so he took on this whole new role and he's learned all these new things and skills about managing people, right? And so the things that he tells me and the stories he tells me, that's something that I look up to now too. And it's like a peripheral thing. I'm not consciously thinking, oh, Seb's a role model for me, but he's a role model in that aspect, right? There are these little things that rub off.
That's the thing. I think it's actually a lot of times subconsciously that it rubs off,
Yeah. I mean, even to go back to artists for a second, right? There was so much inspiration that I mentioned on, I guess 2 weeks ago now. We were talking with Shandy. It'll be 2 weeks ago when this comes out, but where we were talking about Donda, and Donda as an album had inspired me quite a bit.
I saw Kanye's thing.
Like, it's his new album. Right? It's his new album.
Oh, it's called Donda.
Donda. Yeah. It's named after his mom. But and so his album and that whole like build up to it, I was really inspired by that, and I kept like watching it and paying attention to it. And so looking at Kanye, for example, I hate a part of me hates talking about Kanye because it's like, it's just so corny. Like people always talk about Kanye, but like he's a role model in a way because he does seem like really extreme and like crazy. Sometimes people make him out to be that way, but I think that he has gone through plenty of like trauma and some crazy shit in his life. His mom passed away. He had that crazy huge car accident that messed up his whole jaw, and he talks about that in his first album, right? And it's like there are these things, I guess, that he's endured, and he has still created what he's created, and he's been such an influence on a generation, right? I think that it's a cool thing to look up to. It's something that I think because I don't have a dad, I don't have someone who I directly think of, I can't fill the shoes of. Not that I'm trying to fill the shoes of Kanye West, but it's like to do anything on the scale that he's done would be insane, right? But it's something that you can look up to and you can try to do. Thinking about yourselves right now and what you are doing and the people that might look at you passively or actively, what are some behaviors that you want to be role modeling to people, or that you hope you are role modeling to people?
If there are people that look up to me, I want them to see, like, you know, you can do well from a business side of things. Like from an entrepreneur side, that's something that's really up my alley. It's like, hey, I've done this before. I've been through it. I'm going through it right now. And, you know, my topic is this, your topic may be this. You're doing the exact same thing, honestly, with your stuff. And it's like, I hope that I'm able to be a role model for people. Is that the question?
Be a role model for people. What do you want to be a role model of for people?
Yeah, well, I do want to be a role model for people in that, saying, hey, it's possible to go out and do these types of things. Because, yeah, man, at the end of the day, like, I couldn't have a better job than I do.
Right.
And like, you know, life and everything, it's pretty awesome. You know, not having to like, you know, work for the man and, you know, slave away. And it's like, hey, I've been through that and I'm still going through that. And I hope I'm able to inspire people by just doing what I'm doing.
To try and do the same.
Try and do the same in their own ways. And that's a major thing for me.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
Really?
What about inspiring people to be just fucking jacked? Fucking jacked and shit, man.
I don't care. I hope no one works out so I can have the gym to myself.
Kav's a different breed, man.
I don't know, man.
For myself then, for a moment, because I feel like there's some dude. I mean, like, role model something to somebody.
I'd hope.
Come on, man.
I'd hope like within our friend group, people can pick out like that, or the emotional or like mental stability that I feel like I have. That you're always going to be like, that you're always going to be okay in like shitty situations. Yeah, I guess I can't really, but that's just within our friend group. I don't know if there's
like, by the way you handle yourself is a behavior that maybe other people will like, basically just by being you, and by being the way that you are, being level-headed, being calm, and being like very rational and stuff. That's a behavior that maybe people can pick up.
Composure is a really important behavior to have.
Yeah.
And yes, you're talking about our friend group, but I want to remind you, people watch this.
Yeah. So
people watch this. People listen to this. Your coworkers, my coworkers might look up to for those same reasons. You never know. Yeah. Right. So it's like, it's a good thing. You at least identify that is a thing that you have, and it's a quality that you have, but it's, people are going to look up to it.
Yeah.
No. For myself, I hope that, and it absolutely ties into the podcast, it ties into this channel and everything. For myself, I hope that what I am being a role model for is being more of an open book to the people that you care about, right? Every time I have guests on here, it's people that I care about, and it's people who I am hoping are also getting a chance to be more open and reflect on their own lives, right? That's what I'm hoping you take away, even just being here today. You know what I mean? Cabs, as much as like we were maybe like pushing you a little bit today to like think more and reflect more on what your role models are and everything, I think it's important to do that, right? Like it's because I care about you guys. You know what I mean? It's because I care about whoever is on here with us. And I want people to see that there is value in opening up, right? So that's what I hope people look at me as a role model for. Not that you got to look at me as a role model, but like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's rubbed off on me too, for sure. Like even just the podcast, like,
dude, even knowing Cabs, like from our entire up, I never thought I'd hear him speak out as much as even you have now.
Yeah, no,
like, so you already have opened him up in a big way.
Oh, you opened me up quite a bit.
And I'm gonna rub him off later too.
Evan's not here.
Yeah. His room's a mess after tonight, man. Yeah, so that I'm happy that you feel that you've taken anything away from just being here with me so many weeks in a row too. So that's cool. That's cool.
You're doing a good job of it.
Continuing to be, yeah, thank you. But I hope it continues to do that for people. To tie everything back together for ourselves today, men need role models. Everybody needs role models, but this being on your mental, we're talking about the perspective of men and how important role models are. When you're trying new things, you're going to look to a role model to find those things. And sometimes you don't even realize that people around you are role models to you for various things, right? At the same time, it's important to be conscious, I think, of what you're presenting out there and what people around you might learn from you, right? For Cabs, it's composure, level-headedness, and you're a good friend. That's what I take away from you, right? For yourself, you're a leader in a sense. You're a leader, you're an entrepreneur, you're a good brother. There are a lot of things to look at you for, and you're going to be a great husband, I'm sure too, right? So people are going to look up to you for these things. And yeah, anyways, that's enough for me. I don't want to keep rambling on, but everybody who's watching today, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And Brandon, thank you again for coming on.
Thank you.
I appreciate you being here, taking time out of your busy schedule. Look how late it is, everybody. Brandon's awake. Oh my God.
In the middle of the night.
Pretty much.
You should be waking up to pee right now. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. And everybody, we will see y'all next week with another set of guests. It is going to be a new twist next week. Wow. We're stepping into the realm of 4 people. And we'll see how that goes. Cavs and I are, well, I'm excited. I don't know if you're excited. I'm excited to see how it goes.
I'm excited for that chair over there.
There's a chair in the corner.
Cavs getting an upgrade?
Oh, yeah. Cavs getting a big upgrade.
He was like, wow, until he does the whole episode. And so I said to the guy.
Oh, man. So I'm looking forward to that, and I hope you all are too. If you haven't already, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. But yeah, we will see you all next week. Peace.